Hello again from my front porch. Well, we all survived the Super Bowl. When I say we survived the Super Bowl, I mean we survived the boredom of the Super Bowl. Now, I have seen some friends on Facebook who are being very generous to both teams, and I applaud you for that. Honestly, I think maybe I was a little bit cynical about it because I didn't really care. I have no investment in either team that was playing, but like everybody else in my viewing party, we supported the Rams because we did not want to see the Patriots win yet again. Plus, the majority of folks in my viewing party were actually Kansas City Chiefs fans, and so we all felt like, Chiefs should have been there. But we also did have some Saints fans in the room who felt they should be there instead of the Rams. And frankly, after watching the game last night, I kind of, that second, I would like to have seen the Chiefs there, absolutely. But, I kind of wish the Saints had had a shot because I wasn't overly impressed with the Rams. Now, the score at the end of the Super Bowl is only 10-3, so it was a battle of the defenses. That's a given. You don't have that low scoring of a game, and the defense is not having quite a workout. But even that being the case, I got to tell you, from what I saw, the defense for the Rams got a much harder workout than the defense for the Patriots because we all wanted the Rams to win. We were cheering for you guys, and then we just found ourselves more often than not going, what are they? I mean, it's like their quarterback can't actually aim. Their receivers can't actually catch. And some of the plays that they would do, we would just be left scratching our head going, why would they do that at this point? What? And then, of course, I was convinced that we were finally going to have a Super Bowl where nobody was actually going to get a touchdown, because it was for the longest time it was tied 3-3, 2 field goals, and I thought we're going to have a Super Bowl that the winner of the Super Bowl is the next one to get a field goal, and there won't be any touchdown in the Super Bowl, and then the Rams got marched right down the field and it's looking really good, and then they turned it over, and then the Patriots turned around off that turnover and went right back down the field and scored a touchdown. So that was pretty much the end of the deal, and so that was the game. Fortunately, the viewing party I was part of, though, we weren't really there to watch the game. We would have loved to have celebrated seeing the Patriots lose, but we didn't really care about the game. And it's a good thing, too, otherwise I'd be complaining today again about blind referees, little details like, obvious clotheslining of a player and things like that never got called. And it's like, how can even the TV people see it and they're playing the replay over and over and saying, that's a really good clothesline right there. But it doesn't matter because I didn't really care about the game. And it really wasn't that exciting to watch. It was actually, as football games go, fairly dull, and as Super Bowls go, very dull, in my opinion. But my viewing party was all about the commercials. That's what we were watching. And this year's commercials were a little better than last year's, but last year's were at an all-time low of disappointment themselves. They were bland and pathetic, and I don't really understand why companies invest that amount of money to run soft, emotion-driven commercials. Now, there was an exception last night. Honorable mention goes to there were a couple of different commercials that really played off of how paramedics and first responders and people like that had saved the lives of football players, of coaches and players, and those we thought were really good. Those were very powerful. Because again, they at least tied back to the football aspect. See, last year there were some commercials, they were just like the deep, thoughtful, emotion-driven one, and they had no connection to football whatsoever, and we're like, what? Did you really understand what you were airing the commercial in during? Because when you're watching the football game, the last thing you want to do is sit there and go, oh, it just doesn't connect. So anyway, this year's commercials were at least better than last year, but still not as good as we've seen in the past. There have been some years that just like every commercial is like bam, 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 bam. But this year there were some standouts, and for our group, one of the big ones, one of the ones that took an early lead and maintained the lead was the elevator operator, played by Jason Bateman. And the reason that one, it wasn't like it was just this big glamorous dramatic commercial, but the reason it stuck out was because somebody in the room could relate to just how miserable each of the things were as the elevator went lower and lower, you know, like sinking to deeper levels of hell. And the experiences that were represented by that. So many in the room were like, oh yeah, oh yeah. So that was really well done. That one was funny, but it also connected with at least our viewing audience. Then after that, there was another, and I was looking it up, and I wasn't able to find it. I think it was a Lexus commercial. No, not Lexus. It's an electric car commercial. I don't remember which brand it was. See, that's the problem when you make the commercial. Oh, the Jason Bateman one was a Hyundai. Hyundai? I don't know how you pronounce it. But the next one was one that I don't remember what the brand was. And that's not really an effective commercial when you remember the commercial but not the brand. But it was this guy who was dreaming about the future, and he encounters this magnificent car, and he's having this great time, and then his coworker does the Heimlich maneuver on him, and he apparently was dreaming all this as he was dying, because he was choking and he was blacking out, and so then he's saved, and the nut that he's been choking on, he spits out, and he's like, and they're all like, "Hey, saved you, glad you brought that." And then the seller of the commercial is the final look on his face of disappointment, like, "Oh, well, I wish I was still there." So that made everybody laugh and chuckle, and we thought that was pretty good too. Now, then next, I'm going to bundle them together. There were 3, maybe 4, but at least 3 commercials that Budweiser did around their medieval times, their king stuff. One of them was tied to Game of Thrones, which that completely threw us off. But the 3 of those together, they were very well done. Very lot of good investment in those commercials. And interesting storylines. They had us engaged. When those began, we're like, what's going on? What's going on? And so very well done. Good job, commercials. The first one we all thought had kind of a Monty Python feel. The second one was more Game of Thrones, and I don't really know how I would describe the last one. It was the Game of Thrones was a jousting one. The last one was just kind of medieval, King Arthur kind of thing. But they all had their themes. We thought they were pretty good too. But kind of. The one that really seemed to steal the show, and it probably would have stole the show more if we would have collectively known who more of the faces were. We kind of wish they would have put the names on the screen so we could have quickly identified, because we got a little distracted trying to figure out, talking, who's that? Was that so? And then that distracted us from enjoying the actual commercial itself. But the NFL itself had a commercial of celebrating 100 years, and it was fantastic. Of all these current and veteran football players, legends, all in one room together, and a football from the top of the celebration cake falls off on the floor, and it activates these guys. It just triggers them, and they just start basically playing football in this ballroom, smashing tables and the cake and plowing into each other, and it really is pretty funny. It's well done. But as great as it was, we really would have appreciated knowing who all of those individuals were. So it's kind of like one of those, you had to have some inside knowledge to know that. There was also the one that had Carrie from Sex and the City and the dude that showed up to have a Stella Artois, if I'm saying that right, instead of their usual drinks that they would normally have. I think, what was hers, a Manhattan or a Cosmopolitan or something, and his was normally a White Russian, and instead they both show up ordering this different beverage, and it throws this restaurant into a tizzy. Now, that's amusing if you're familiar with those characters. Now, if you're not familiar with those characters, don't be too hard on yourself. But a lot of people obviously are. But in our room, we had a very mixed age range and stuff too, and there were several individuals in our room, adults, young adults especially, but adults in our room that didn't have any clue who one or the other or even both of those characters was supposed to be. And so in that case, that falls a little flat. That's not well planned, because you're not queuing it up for the audience. You're not helping them out. My personal favorite, though, I have to say, my personal favorite was the Harrison Ford one for, I'm pretty sure it was Amazon Prime, but the one where his dog is or because they talk, or was it Alexa? Was it Alexa? Maybe it's an Alexa commercial. Anyway, but it was the commercial where they have the dog collar so that the dog barking is able to order stuff. And so he's got the collar on the dog, and the dog is barking and ordering more dog food. And he's like, "Stop it! Stop ordering dog food!" And then the dog is running up the stairs and barking and ordering other stuff. He says, "Cancel those orders!" And then the last scene, you see this delivery truck and this pallet of all this dog food and all these things. They're coming down on the lift, and Harrison Ford standing out on his step with the dog looking up, standing next to him, and he doesn't even look down at the dog. He's just that Harrison Ford face is, "I'm not talking to you." I thought that was great. For me personally, that was my favorite commercial. But again, I don't remember for sure what the product was. I might have been Alexa. Probably was Alexa. But it's like, yeah, how good is the commercial if you don't remember the product? Now, I should say there were a number of great TV and movie promos, including one for the Avengers Endgame coming up here in April. But we discard, we don't include those. We exempt previews from the commercial competition. So I don't know that we really had a clear winner this time. It was kind of flat, but like I said, everyone seemed to like the elevator commercial the most, and then the others kind of all had fans, for different reasons along the way. So probably Jason Bateman's elevator commercial would be the winner for our particular group. But for this show, for Hello From My Front Porch, the winner was Harrison Ford, hands down. All right, there you go. Now, don't you feel so much more informed? With that, I'll see you next time from my front porch.